Okay, so what we'll do is we'll open as usual, and Kat will do a very short very short meditation, and that's just to align our energies. And then later in the talk, we'll do the connection to the Orynoco network. Okay, so I'll pass you over to Kat.
So just for everybody who's not actually live with us, welcome. We're at Orynoco, and we're going to share with you about plasma science and the pods, and we're going to do a connection meditation later on. So the ancestral people of this planet believe that to be able to come fully into your heart, you have to first connect to the earth and to the sun and to all the planets. So before we start, we're just going to do a very short meditation exercise to do this. So if everybody just wants to close their eyes and just take a deep breath in and breathe out long and slowly. Just allow your body to start relaxing. Take another deep breath in. And as you breathe out, just breathe out with a sigh. Just allow all the tensions, maybe you were hurrying to get here, just allow everything to fall away. Any energies that may have come in with you, anything that does not serve your highest purpose, we set the intention now that this be dissipated for the highest good of all, like a huge suction, just lightening us all, releasing all this energy to be dissipated. And then taking another deep breath in, calling in all your energies back to yourself and feeling yourself fully present in the room here and now. Just feeling your seat bones on the chair, your feet on the ground, and then just grounding yourself in whichever way you're comfortable with. If you're not used to grounding yourself, then just imagine roots coming from the bottoms of your feet and going down, 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 down through all the tectonic plates, past the worms, the mud, all the crystal caves, all the beautiful layers of the earth's structure. Just allow your energy to drop down and anchor deep, deep, deep into Mother Earth. Allowing yourself to feel slightly heavy as you feel this connection. And then just taking a moment to give thanks to Mother Earth. Our body is her body. The air that we breathe comes from her. The food that we eat comes from her. She is a beautiful mother and a beautiful friend. So giving thanks and sending love to Mother Earth for supporting us and providing us with all that we need. And then allowing this energy to come back up through our feet or coccyx, up through our spine, past our neck, our head, and out through the top of our head as we connect to all that is not of the earth, to the sun, grand central sun, to all the planets, to our guides, to our angels, to our spiritual teachers. And just giving thanks to the Father aspect, to the giver of life. And just allow your energy to expand as you give thanks and send love. And allowing this energy to come back down through your crown, through the top of your head, past your neck and into your heart, where these two energies mix and mingle, and where they reside. Everything resides in our heart. The universe, the multi-universes, Mother Earth, the universal power of our hearts, we are discovering more and more, and everything resides in our heart. This is the truth of our being. And just giving thanks to ourselves for being here, for getting to where you are today. Just giving thanks and love to yourself. And then when you're ready, from this space, you may open your eyes, just wiggling your fingers and your toes if you need to.
Okay, hi. So if you just joined us, then just take a couple of minutes on your own to ground yourself and connect with everybody here in readiness for later on in this talk when we're going to be doing a meditation from the Orynoco pods and the network. So you will be connecting to us, and that will in turn connect you to the network. But before we do that, what I'm going to do is talk to you a little bit more about what the network is and how it has come about as a little bit of a reminder, because because as we go through on a day-to-day basis, we often forget, or well, I do. You're probably super expert at this, but I do. You know, I went for my morning walk, my morning exercise, and I thought, right, now I've got to beetle down this road, or beetle up this road, and get my heart rate going. And I was looking around me and seeing, you know, all these people rushing to work, cars beeping and all the rest of it. And for some reason, I was drawn to go off through a graveyard. And as I walked through the graveyard, I thought, oh, I'll just stop and read some of the gravestones. It's not, I don't normally do that. I listen to it. I know it sounds a bit weird, but I thought I'd look at some of the gravestones, and there are a couple that caught my eye, but one in particular, because before I'd left the house, I'd actually had a reminder, and this is typical of how the universe went, just a reminder of, you know, we are operating from our hearts. We're not operating from our heads. If we keep operating from our heads, we're not going to get anywhere. So I looked at this gravestone, and it said, I won't tell you the name, but this guy was always of good courage. He walked by faith and not by sight. And I thought that was such a good explanation of being in the quantum field. Because obviously, if you're walking by faith, then you're walking with your heart. And if you're walking by sight, then you're actually reacting to everything that's in front of you and around you. I'm not actually convinced that the person who put that on the gravestone knew that the implications and the in-depth to which it was meant. But I think it's actually a great way to remember that we are walking by faith and not by sight. Anyway, I just thought I'd mention that. So, so what I'm going to do is just give you a little update on the Orynoco network. So, as you probably all know, there are Orynoco hosts who have got sets of pods. But what you probably don't know is that we have actually been out and about over the last 5 years. We've been taking the pods with us to various places in the world, and setting them up and doing ceremonies, and basically connecting up different geographical areas. So we've got some photos to show you about those areas, but I thought I'd also just remind, as a reminder for all of us, what we're doing here is we're working with the elements on the planet, and we're working so that we can connect the elements of the planet back to the elements of the universe, which from our perspective, which is the plasma science perspective, is the plasma which is which makes up 99% of the universe. So we're constantly moving up and down between those 2 points and anchoring at various levels in our hearts. And everybody's at a different level. So it's, and you can interpret that in a number of ways. I mean, obviously the chakras are one of the oldest, most well-known ways to do it. But in fact, what I've been experiencing is that when you're working inside the field, you actually come into this space where everything is working outwards and inwards at the same time. And this is the magnetic and the gravitational fields that are interfacing with your energy field from outside. So regardless of whether or not the elements around you, be it wood, metal, stone, they all have their own magnetic and gravitational fields, but of course the planets do as well. And so it's so important that we pay attention to what's going on in the universe in terms of planetary alignments, because as planets come around and they line up, this affects the different magnetic and gravitational forces being exerted on our particular field on the planet. And so therefore, if you are very well educated and you can read those signs, then that is fantastic, because it gives everybody else a heads up as to what they can be, as to what they can expect to come up. And really, it's a reflecting the way in which we can be in our hearts, knowing that maybe we've got a little bit more pressure coming in or a little bit less pressure coming in. And so it's a way of looking at the whole of the plasma sciences and the chakras and all the other tools that we've got to understand where we are, in a much more, it's actually a very in-depth way. But really, the way forward is really to experience it, because there's nothing like experience to tell you how you're doing and get feedback from everybody who's helping us, really. Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll hand you over now to Kat, who's going to talk through some of the ways we've been interfacing with, well, in this case, elements of the planet.
So throughout this whole journey with the pods, we've been very strongly guided. And a lot of the time, we've actually felt more like observers of what's been happening. And it's been really interesting noticing all the synchronicities. And the pods originally went out for trialing, in a sense of the word, with a whole load of psychics and different sensitive people, so that we could get feedback about how the energies were running. And it was so interesting because one of the common themes that we were fed back from everybody was love. And it was, you know, some people were saying that they experienced Venus. Some people were saying that they sat in the pod and the impression, their first intention that they set was show me unconditional love. So from all these different avenues, we were getting that it was connecting very deeply with our heart centers. And then the first pod set that actually went out by another set of synchronicities ended up in Avebury. Now, Avebury is a stone circuit in the UK, and it is probably one of my favourite places in the UK. People say that Stonehenge is more the masculine aspect and Avebury is more the feminine aspect. And I also do a body work called Tibetan pulsing, and our teacher lived just outside of Avebury. For many, many years, we've been going to Avebury and working there. So it seemed incredible that just through synchronicities and alignments that the first set of pods actually ended up in Avebury, and they're still there with our beautiful friend Donna, who actually owns the crystal shop there, and she's one of our hosts. And yeah, so she's at the Elements of Avebury. And then I started to talk about Avebury because Avebury was very key in the fundamental setting up of these energies with the network. So when we were there, I actually found a flyer for a sacred geometrical drawing the transit of Venus course. And I sent it to my friend who lives in Avebury without really reading the details properly. And she said, the course is near you. It was actually in Forest Row. So I got this really strong impression, as we do, to take the pods. So I had to phone this guy up, this artist who I'd never met before, and said, "Oh, can I come to your workshop and can I bring with me 5 units because I want to anchor the energy of the transit of Venus into everything that we're doing." And this happens very often with the guidance of the heart, that it doesn't make sense. It may not be something that you're 100% comfortable with, but as Malcolm was saying about the courage, you just have to go for it. And I explained to him about the leaflet in Avebury, and he was quiet for a moment. And then he said, this is incredible, because in the summer, he'd actually been to Avebury with Maria Wheatley, and he'd been given the chance to do something, and he didn't know what to do. He's an artist, and he had a group of people in Avebury, so they'd all danced out the transit of Venus. About 85 people had danced out the transit of Venus in the stones. So, of course, when I explained that story, he said, you are absolutely most welcome to come, to bring your units. And this is the rose. This is the Venus rose. So over a period of 8 years, the dance between Earth and Venus creates this beautiful pattern that you can see up on the screen. And what is even more incredible, in the area of Rennes-le-Château, there are 5 peaks that are proportioned in direct alignment with the Venus rose. So when we were in Rennes-le-Château, we met Henry Lincoln, who is an amazing guy. Rennes-le-Château got famous because of the Da Vinci Code, but he actually wrote the body of work that the Da Vinci Code was based on. And he spent 11 years there with his beloved, researching Mary Magdalene, all those stories from that area, and also the sacred geometry. And he said that the transit of Venus is actually anchored on this planet in that area through these 5 peaks. So this is the geometry here depicted of Rennes-le-Château and that area. And so, of course, I have to bring in the beautiful Mary Magdalene because it's all about Rose. So at that stage in our journey, it was very much to do with the feminine energies and bringing in this softness and just having this awareness. And of course, Malcolm and I both went through a massive growth process with it. But what was incredible about traveling around this area of France was that Mary was seen as a real person. You know, we stayed at a nun's monastery and the pictures of her weren't like this. They were this woman, beautiful woman with long flowing hair, nothing ordained, wild and in a meadow. And she's really perceived as a real person. So in this setting up of the energy of the network, I also had to bring in Mary, and this is the book, The Holy Blood and the Holy Grail, which Henry Lincoln worked. And he actually went originally to Rennes-le-Château to film BBC documentaries. You know, this was a huge area of work, a huge area of research. And if you haven't dipped your toe into that pond yet, then I would highly recommend to read books, you know, about Mary Magdalene, to read books like this, and just to explore this area. So here are the pods. These are the pods set up at the workshop. You can see that they were aligned with the 5 peaks of the rose. And they were there for the full 3 days while we were drawing, while we were creating, while we were anchoring. So they were doing their thing while we were doing our thing. And as I said, the only pods at that time that were hosted were in Avebury. And some beautiful creations were made during that day of different people's interpretations of the beautiful Rose of Venus. So that's just a short of how it really started at the very, very, very beginning of the journey with the pods. And from there, it expanded globally, really. So, yeah, I'll just pass you on to Malcolm, who can explain. Oh, first of all, this is actually the course that we went on, sorry. So Daniel is still running courses, highly recommended, Sacred Art of Geometry. He works out of the Emerson College in Forest Row. He runs regular courses and yeah, absolutely beautiful. So now I'll hand you over to Malcolm.
Okay, so really, I suppose what we're doing here is we're giving you a bit of a pedigree chat, pedigree of the pods. So one of the places we went to initially, oh yeah, what I should explain is that every time we end up somewhere, then we get some instructions to do something, usually to anchor in the energies. And if we've got a set of pods with us, then we produce those. In this particular photograph, this is Norway. And we'd actually been over to Norway to see Katrina's mum over there, who has a cabin on the coast. And so we were guided to establish a field on the coast, on the rocks. And this was a beautiful time of day, just in the evening as the sun's going down. And there you go. That's to prove it really was Norway, because Kat's got a big coat on and a big hat. And it was very cold. But, you know, it was fantastic. I mean, the energy was amazing. And this is a lovely photo. This caught the sun going down. And you can see where the sun is actually the other side of the bay. And where Kat's looking is out to the North Sea. And if her eyesight was really good, she could actually see the oil rigs.
And I actually meditated in the pods when they were there for hours. And if anybody has got pods, I would absolutely recommend to take them outside. You know, primarily we have them in our house, but it is a different experience if you can take them with you somewhere out in nature on your own and just sit there and enjoy the silence, the bliss, and all those wonderful qualities that we find in our heart.
Okay, so technical hitch.
Yeah, it doesn't want to come off that photograph. press that button. There.
Right. Okay, so then we moved on. Between Norway and the next destination, which was Australia, we sold a few pods to people in Europe. So we've got now pods in France, Switzerland, very soon some in Austria, Germany, and Slovenia. So there's not loads, but there's enough there to act as an anchor. We went to Australia not last year, but the year before. It was actually to help a family member through quite a difficult operation, which was an open heart operation. That all went swimmingly well. And what we didn't realize was that we were within a few hours' drive of a very, very sacred place in Australia, which is actually the oldest, I think it's the oldest Aboriginal lands on the planet. And what you're looking at there is protected land, which is actually almost as large as
Lebanon.
Yeah, like the Lebanon. I mean, it's quite incredible when you're there. You don't realize the size of Australia, but you know, there we are, an expanse the size of Lebanon with nobody living in it. So, so here we are in the what mountains was it?
It's the Blue Mountains.
Oh yeah, the Blue Mountains. Oh yeah. So we were in the Blue Mountains. So we took the pods out on a few days, and that gives you a better idea of the expanse that you're talking about. And obviously, while we were there, we did quite a number of ceremonies as well. We found a lovely bungalow, but we were there out of season. And so we got this for a relatively small amount of money. So it was amazing. This was our balcony. And as you look out from the balcony in the morning, you look down this valley, and that is just a layer of cloud in the valley. It was quite breathtaking. And so we were doing meditations, connecting to the land there.
And the mountain opposite that you can see on the left-hand side of the photograph, apparently, according to Aboriginal tradition, this is the area where the Aboriginal tribes used to meet from that area. And it is on record one of the oldest places that human beings actually met. It is like, I can't remember the exact dates. We found out a lot about the history because that all opened up when we were there. But it was incredible because we didn't realize at the beginning where we were, and we were looking at this mountain every day, and one of the cliffs actually had this face coming out of it. So yes, it was incredible, absolutely incredible.
So there's quite another artistic pose there.
It was funny because in some way or another, in every place that we went, at some point they would light up. Like you saw in Norway, they all took on this amazing orange glow in one of the photographs. And then on this photograph, when we came outside, they were all lit up. So yeah, amazing.
So, so that gives you an idea of like but I should also add that those are not the only places where we've been with the pods. There are other places, but they were particularly nice photos, so I put those up. But obviously, we've now paired up with other places, Hawaii, for example, in California, both East and West Coast in America. And I'm speaking to somebody tomorrow in New Zealand, and we've actually got pods now set up in Australia as well in 3 locations. So the whole process is ongoing, and when you when you connect to that network, then you are really connecting to the energies of the planet. That's actually what you're doing. So, so what we thought we'd do is also explain how you can connect to the pods and the network, but you don't necessarily need a set of pods to do that. You really just need to, be in your heart, actually, do the meditation, be in your heart. And recently I've found that making the infinity sign is actually one of the ways I can connect very quickly. So I just make the infinity sign 6 times, 3 times, 6 times, or 9 times. And then on the 6th, I stop in the middle, and then I set my intention to connect to all that is. Now, we've got a number of people who have bought the portable, which this is the portable, and they have used that to connect with the pods. So this is the portable. So this is within that cylinder is the nugget of technology that allows the field to become a balancing field when you're sitting in it. So within that cylinder are wound copper pieces which have been specially treated, and they are constantly exhibiting an energy out and an energy back, a gravitational and a magnetic field. So you'll see in the middle of that cylinder there is a cartridge. Oh, do we have a cartridge? No. Okay. So there is a cartridge that goes in the middle of that, and you can add that because that adds a different quality. Now, we've got several people who connect they take delivery of their pods, they set those up at home, and then they create a balancing field in their environment at home. But they actually work from a clinic. So what they do is they use the portable to go to the clinic. When they get to the clinic, they put the portable underneath the therapist's couch, and then they set the intention to connect back to their pod that is at home. So then they're bringing in the energy of not only the pod that's at home, but also the energy of the network, the whole network, to work with their clients in whatever way they are doing. So that's the purpose of the portable. It is a very subtle energy, but you can make a really decent connection with that. One of the ways to attune it, if you like, is to place it in between the actual bases of the pods themselves, and just leave it for 2 or 3 days, and you'll find you've got another tool to play with. So, moving on to a little bit of a reminder here, because what we found was when you're working with the pods, they do love working with individuals. When you have a larger group, it's a little bit more involved to set the energies up. Now, we did do that at the Harry Edwards Foundation, which is a very, very famous foundation, healing foundation near Guildford. And in fact, we had about 20 odd people, and we'd set the pods up. We'd set four sets of the pods, no, 5 sets of the pods up.
We did it in the Venus configuration, as we were talking about earlier on.
Yeah, so it was a star formation, and we set that up, and it was super powerful, really. But that was with some guidance with whoever. So what I would say is that if you do own a set of pods, then do ask for guidance if you're going to go and use the pods in a multi-person environment. What I would also say, though, is that I would encourage you to invite people to connect with you remotely so that they can experience the pods, because really there's nothing like getting to grips with the energies. So this little slide here is just a reminder that, you know, we are working here with, in plasma science determines or defines it as a magnetic and gravitational energy. But I mean, it's really the style of the energy, and the style of the energy is coming in and going out, coming in and going out. And this has been repeated by numerous people across the centuries, and depicted in completely different ways. We're just using magnetic and gravitational as a convenient way of labeling the way in which to experience the energies. And of course, once you get to the midpoint or the still point, then you have the opportunity of connecting with everything, because you are at that still point, even though all the energies around you are still moving. And this is again just to reinforce the point that, you know, if you look at this picture, you know, if you look at the lower solids, you know, we're at that end of the spectrum. We're now moving up the spectrum towards the higher plasma end. And at various stages in our lives, we will start taking on more or less of the density, depending on how good we've been. So So and as I understand it, our role here is to be in the physical, but to be able to connect with the higher environments, so that we can bring those higher environments in and bring it for the evolution of our species, to push everybody up to a much higher level. I mean, it's such an exciting project. You wouldn't even be able to write this down if you're doing it as a project at school. You wouldn't be able to imagine it. It's quite amazing. So that's just to remind you, this is what's happening in the physical, and this is where we're going. I'm sure you all know that. It's just nice to trigger it in the mind before you do any sort of meditation. And here's a lovely Caris working in our set of pods. So when we designed the pods, we didn't want lots and lots of individual columns. So we asked Thomas, who is our research and designer, look, can you reduce the number of physical pieces of kit down to a minimum? And one of the things we suggested was that he makes them look like speaker columns that you could put in any living room. And this is what he came up with. And we thought he did a really brilliant job. And even more brilliantly, he designed it so that the field coming from each of the columns is strong enough to form a triangulation around our body energy, and a triangulation that we can connect with, rather than it being a square or a circle or anything else. So this was about I mean, I suppose you might be able to get it down to 2 poles, but I think this is a really perfect triangulation. So when you're sitting with it, try and position yourself so you've got 1 in front and then 2 about 45 degrees coming out from your shoulders, and then set the intention to be, in your still point in the middle. This is another example. This is in Helen's therapy room. Works absolutely a treat in that room. And she's actually aligned it with the compass points as well, because she does biogeometry. So that's good.
Detection.
Right. So now, oh, no, I'll just speak about this as well.
Okay.
So Kat mentioned earlier, she works, and in fact I do as well, with Tibetan pulsing. Now, Tibetan pulsing is it's called Tibetan pulsing transformation because it's a physical way of changing the energy that's got stuck in your system and releasing it. And it actually involves literally physically pulsing the body. But when you add the pods to that process, you start getting sessions that are so deep, it's quite amazing. So that's part of its pedigree as well.
And also for our hosts, or for people who actually have the pods, this is a good way of showing how to do a setup in a room. So we always advise that people start working with the pods on their own for a period of time to get used to the energy. And then obviously with clients, and then if they want to go on and to do small groups, then it's really important that the pods have space around them, and also that they have a clear, unobstructed view of each other. And ideally you want to set them up the night before. And then what will happen is the whole room will get conditioned. So there will be this like divine background energetic support for any work that you're doing. I want to stipulate very clearly that the pod should never be used with mind-altering substances. This includes the natural ones. So we really recommend that, people who are holding groups with ayahuasca and kambo and all these kinds of things, this is no judgment. You can have amazing transformational experience with medicinal herbs. But for the work with the units, yeah, it's bringing these qualities out of ourselves through our hearts, which is just a different way of working. Not one's better than the other, but for the pods, yeah, not to use those kinds of substances in groups.
So this was, I've forgotten to mention Hungary, because we went to the opening of a goddess, what they call a goddess temple in Hungary, which was a center set up. And but basically it was a lovely house around a lake run by these women who are just goddesses, really. They all look amazing. And they had a whole weekend, or long weekend, and there were people there from all over Europe, America, and it was quite something. So this happened to be set up in one of the rooms, and I just caught it with the right light. I thought it was quite a lovely picture. This was actually one of the rooms in the temple where they were doing their energy work. I mean, it gives you a kind of flavour of how amazing the energy was.
Yeah.
And that's I think on the right there,
Yeah.
you can see the name of the people.
Yeah, well, I don't think you can, because it looks like there's people over the top of it, but it's actually the houseofthedivinelight.com. So if anybody's going to Hungary or they fancy having a different experience, then the Goddess Temple in Hungary is amazing. It's set on a lake. They do lots of retreats and workshops. And yeah, it's beautiful, beautiful people.
Right. So I'll hand over to Kat now, and she's going to connect us up to the network and the pods, so that you can remotely access this energy.
Right, so we've currently got the pod set up as a Merkaba around us. For people who haven't actually seen the units and what they look like or experienced this session with our hosts, then this is how we recommend setting them up. So 2 behind you, as you can see from this chair, and 1 in front of you. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to connect with the energy, just so that we can all experience that beautiful transformational energy. So if you just close your eyes, just settle yourself into your chair or your bed, just allowing all the excitement of the talking to dissipate. Once again, grounding your energy down into the earth in whichever way you feel comfortable. Allowing this energy to move up, expand out through the crown as we once again connect to the heavens. And then bringing the energy back down into the heart. When we're making any kind of communication or guidance, we always want this guidance to be through our higher self. The guidance wants to ultimately come from the divine path of you that is you always knees relaxing, the thighs relaxing. Relaxing. Your back is relaxing. Side all away from the bottom. Relaxing. Your chest is relaxing. Your stomach focus all the way down. And all is relaxing. The side is relaxing. Arm is relaxing. Shoulders relaxing. Your elbows. Your lower arms relaxing. The palms of your hands are relaxing. Your wrists. Not your
Hi, can you all hear me again? Yeah, okay. We had a
So as I was saying at the beginning, unfortunately, because the energy gets so strong, we have a lot of technical difficulties. And when we all went into meditation, we seem to have blown the circuit up again. So technology stopped working. I thought we were doing so well.
I thought that was a perfect example of transcending. Malcolm and Kat have just given us the example.
Brilliant. I mean, the thing is, you know, on the higher levels, as we're talking, everything is as it's supposed to be, and the work will continue on. So I'm not sure how far we got, but we will drop back into our hearts just to complete this process, and we'll set the intention for this energy to continue working for the rest of the talk. So everybody just take another deep breath in. Breathe out. And just connecting back into our hearts. Connecting once again with the pods and the network. And just allowing the energy to flow. The main reason for doing this is that all the people who don't have pods or access to pods can do this when they're at home. You just visualize the pods around you, allow the energy to come in through your heart, because the energy is only a part of us. And then as we connect to the network, from our hearts, we want to send this energy out. Send this energy out to everybody in the world who needs it. We have a huge capacity in our hearts. As we move into a heart-based society, as humanity shifts, we are all supporting that process. We are all holding that process. We are all part of that process becoming within us. It has already happened. Just have to allow everything to unfold. Trust your guidance. Trust your intuition. It's the heart speaking to every part on this planet. Feels supported. And trust themselves. Nothing so bad. They do. Allow that love, acceptance, and gratitude to come part of everyday life. So shift this.
This is the depot. See, just so, now, there's 6 messages that
Maxine, can you hear me? Can everybody? Yes. I think this is
Yes,
so,
I can
yeah,
hear you. It's
I
weird,
think
isn't it?
this is so meaningful because
Yes,
I think
yes,
a number of people here, when we have had this huge energy,
yes,
um,
yes,
things freeze.
yes.
It's
And I
not,
felt,
it's not an abnormal thing. It's
no,
just
no, no.
part of the
Yes,
workings.
I think so. And I felt an enormous amount of heat as
Yes,
well as we were meditating, and it's not coming from anywhere. That's
no,
really quite amazing. Yeah, lovely. Yeah.
Do big meditation. Big,
yeah.
Just
Well, it's strange. It's just like no one else is being able to communicate. Isn't that strange?
Think among ourselves, can't
we
we?
can talk about ourselves.
Poor Malcolm.
Oh,
Right,
something
very wonderful is going on. I mean,
yes,
good.
it is. Yes, yeah.
I'll just put the record right. Okay, so does anybody have anything that they'd like to share?
Oh, hello,
Well,
Kat.
We can hear you again. We're back. Yay.
We can't see you though.
You can't see. Oh, I can.
No, we can't see. Oh, I can't.
Oh no. At the top there. Can you hear us?
yes, we
Yes.
can hear you.
Oh, okay. Well, that's all that's important for now then. So does anybody have anything else that they want to share?
Well, I've got a comment
Oh,
about,
Liz, hang on.
can you hear me?
Yes, Joe, yes.
Yeah, it's been, when I was in, details aren't important, but I was in a situation where we had collected some energy devices, and we walked into a hotel, and all the electricity in the hotel went down. So when you know something like that, this is perfectly normal.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
sometimes,
Yeah,
yeah.
wonderful. But
We
I think-
still don't know. I don't think anybody really understands what electricity is actually.
No, we don't. No.
So we've got that path to walk yet.
Yeah, and then Liz actually
Yeah.
wanted to share something. I did see your message.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, I've been to lots of events over the years. I'm talking about the last 30 years, to lots of retreats, sacred sites, you name it. But tonight's energy, I thought my heart was going to explode. It feels like it's going to burst. But what I wanted to you is, since I've been using the loop, because I don't have a pod, and then the TSEs, Malcolm, you talked about inner and outer, and somebody said to me the other day in meditation, go and find that quiet place within. And I said, I can't do that. It's not there anymore. It's as if it's in and out at the same time. I don't know how to put it into words. And that's only happened since I've been using the loop and the TSEs.
Right.
And the heart, you're absolutely spot on with what you're talking about, the Venus and the rose, because about 25, 30 years ago, I did a workshop with Barbara Marks Hubbard. I don't know if you know her. And we were sitting in meditation on somebody's boat, and I shared that I was going into my heart, which I call the sacred tabernacle, and the rose was there. That's 25, nearly 30 years ago, but I was too innocent to kind of know where to take that or what to do with it other than continue to work through the heart. So I'm just really excited with the work that you're doing, and the fact that even if I haven't got the pod, the pods, that I can connect in and then take that energy out. Because you're absolutely right. I think it's really, really important that we all, work with the purity of the heart,
Oh yeah,
for
absolutely.
mankind.
Yeah,
Great. Okay. Well, I mean, hopefully today gives everybody an idea of how they can make that connection, so they don't need the pods, but they can still make that connection. So
yeah,
that's great. Thank you, Liz.
I'm shaking.
Yeah, no, thank you, Liz. That's really such lovely feedback, from the heart. That's great.
And it's you can just visualize them around you and recreate the energy, from tonight. And we're so used to doing. You said when you experience this beautiful energy in your heart that you didn't know what to do with it. You don't have to do anything with it. That's the whole point, is that we don't have to do anything with it. We just have to allow it. And that's the most precious takeaway of all, I think, is not to be too hard on ourselves, especially at the moment while all the planets are going nuts and the energies are going to be very strong, and just relax. I had a wonderful message that somebody said, and it just said, hello, this is God. I'm going to take care of everything today. You don't need to worry about a thing. Just relax and let me take care of it. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. And that's what the energy of the heart is. It's trusting moment in moment that you'll be given guidance and surrendering to it.
So any more questions?
Lovely.
I know that one, Kat. That was really, really meaningful. It's a little thing that says, "Hi, this is God.
Please,
I will be dealing with all of your." Initially, it said stresses, but I changed the words. I will not need your help, so just relax chill out, and have a great day.
Yeah, that's the one. I've actually now got it on my fridge. I've actually got it on my fridge. I'll have to yeah, I can't put it up here unfortunately, but yeah, it's just a beautiful, beautiful message and remembering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we do know the entanglement between all of us when we have a loop or a pendant or a pod, or it's the family.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just magic, absolute magic.
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so I think that's it then.
Yeah, well, no, any more
questions?
questions or? No, okay.
Just a big thank you. That was fabulous.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so
Yeah.
much. That was wonderful.
And
Yeah.
thank you so much for persevering.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, we knew you'd set it up for us. We knew where we were headed, so kind of carried on.
Marvelous. Yeah, well,
And
anyway.
thank you, Malcolm, for reminding about the figure of 8.
Yeah. Increasingly more important, I've been finding, so that's really
Yeah.
good. Okay, so what we'll be doing is we'll be giving a notification again, probably for one in April. Okay, but watch this space. We'll send out some emails and stuff about what's happening. There's a talk in March that we're going to give a presentation towards the end of the day. That's I think that's March the 8th.
Yeah.
That's got some interesting people. That's got Ayurvedic cooking. It's got how to clear your house of energy, and it's got Bach flower remedies as well. It's quite an interesting day. And then we're going to be talking at the end about meditation tools. That's what we've got lined up at the moment, but obviously more stuff will come up. So we'll see how we go.
And where is that, Malcolm?
So that's near Guildford.
Yeah.
It's on the web. If you go on the website, there'll be a little note saying upcoming events, and it's in Guildford. Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. So we'll just do a couple of minutes just to integration. So if everybody just wants to close their eyes. We're just taking a deep breath in and just breathing out. Taking another deep breath in. Breathing out. Just integrating all the energies into your system that you've experienced today with grace and ease. With our higher selves and our guides, just dissipating any energy that no longer serves us, any excess energy, so that our systems don't have any more than they can handle. Everything done gently, smoothly, easily, and relaxed. Make sure you drink lots of water. And we'd like to give a thanks to gratitude to all the energies that are supporting us every day. And gratitude to all our family and friends. And thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks everyone for coming.
When you're ready, open your eyes and have a wonderful evening and a beautiful deep sleep integration.
Thank you. Bless you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye everybody. Bye.